go around the room. How many people die from medical mistakes in U.S. hospitals per year? Tristan, give me a number.
100,000.
100,000. Tommy Bob.
Gosh, I hope you're wrong.
You say 300?
I think it's closer to 250 to 300,000. I'll say 300,001.
Okay.
Wait, what is this? The Price is Right? Wait, per year?
Per year.
Yeah, per year.
Per year.
It's at least.
So in 1 year, you guys are saying 300,000
At least.
die
At
from
least.
medical?
Yeah.
It's probably more.
You want the number?
I'm not even going to guess. I would have never guessed even close to that
Current
number.
issue of Journal of Patient Safety says the number is between 210 and 440,000 patients each year who go to the hospital for care, suffer some type of preventable harm that contributes to their death. Now, there was an original story came out in 1999 saying it was 98,000. In 2010, the Office of Inspector General Human Services said that bad hospital care contributed to the deaths, and this was the inspector.
So this is some sort of harm.
80,000.
That had they stayed home, they would have been more likely to live.
Let me tell you what a lot of that is. I was a paramedic for 12 years, and I worked in New York City, so I got to see a lot of this.
Experienced knowledge.
Nosocomial infections, and those are infections that people get when they're in the hospital that they didn't get on their way in, is one of the biggest killers.
Why?
And because there are a lot of sick people in hospitals with a lot of different types of bacteria, and some people have no resistance, and they get these really nasty superbugs, and there's no cure for it.
Like
so a guy goes in with a broken leg, and inadvertently a nurse who was working on a guy that had a real bad infection of something doesn't wash her hands or brushes up against him and then transfers that bacteria, and that guy gets sick and dies. And that happens quite a lot. And then there's mistakes. The other big thing is miscalculated drug dosage, or the wrong drug is another big one. Those are the big, they do that all the time.
8:35. It's a John Justice show.
You're right.
Frank Antenori joins us in studio, former Arizona State legislator. April Madison is here as well, and I've completely thrown the room into turmoil. I have a story here in front of me. Study in the current issue of the Journal of Patient Safety says that the number of people that die in hospitals from medical mistakes is between 210 and 440,000 per year.
That is incredible.
It makes medical errors the third leading cause of death in America, behind heart disease, which is first, cancer, which is second. Isn't that crazy? Now, Frank, you were talking about the in-hospital infections, which is interesting because, not to get too deep into it, they think when I had my second open heart surgery, they found a clump of stuff that didn't look like it should be there, and it turned out to be this streptococcus bacteria, and it is a certain type of bacteria that is prone to wreak havoc in the heart cavity, especially for people that have artificial material like I had. But I didn't have that, so there was a lot of speculation that the only reason that was actually cross-contamination. From the time it left my body and got to the lab and the culture was grown, it got cross-contaminated with something else in the hospital.
It would be interesting to see what the number of malpractice suits are compared to the number of deaths.
Lots. Yeah. There are a lot of malpractice.
Are there just as many? I mean, how could there not be?
Between drug mistakes, mixing patients up, that's another big problem. That's why you all get the little wristband when you go in there, and the nurses are supposed to check your name versus the doctor's order. It still happens. Patients are given.
I was definitely afraid they were going to bring. They would bring me back the wrong son when I had my child. I had nightmares about this.
That's happened too.
And I did not. Of course, Northwest Medical is known for this anyway, which is where I was. But they don't leave your site unless there's a reason for it. From the time they're born. So, and thankfully, because I would have panicked.
There's drug interactions, miscalculated dosages, wrong drugs, the infections, and then just actual procedural mistakes that, a lot of them is tubes that are in. If you're in bad shape, nurses may not know a tube becomes displaced and the guy dies because he can't breathe. There's all these things, all these little things happen. I've seen so many accidents in the hospital.
How is it still so, though? How is it still so? How are they not?
consider the
It's
number
not deliberate.
Oh, well, of course
it's
not. Of course
accidental
not.
stuff.
No, I know,
You're dealing with thousands of people you never met before in your life. So here I am. If you're a doctor or a nurse, some guy comes in. There's so many people. You got all these beds, and you're rushing from patient to patient to patient, trying to service them and take care of as many people as you can in the least amount of time.
Right.
Sometimes you get mixed up, and it's a sad thing that happens.
It makes you not want to go to the hospital. If
Well, here's the thing, though. In the story, it talks about
a minor problem now, but if I go there, I'm not sure I'm going to make it out.
That's why you need to be interacting with your physician and nurse while you're being cared for. And people that just sit there and let people jam needles into their IV tube and not saying, so doctor, what is that? Oh, I'm giving you that. Well, why am I getting that? Because you have this disease. Oh, that's not me. I don't have that. That's the guy next door.
But
and
you don't think you just trust anybody in a medical suit when you're in a hospital to know what they're doing.
Talk to your doctor or your nurse. Always. And you hear the TV commercials that tell you that? Talk to your doctor.
In the story, it talks about putting together like a patient bill of rights and all this nonsense. But the one thing about this to me, though, as somebody who unfortunately has spent a lot of time in hospital, I kind of equate it to flying. Like when I get on the plane,
the odds are still...
The pilot doesn't want that plane to go down any more than I want that plane to go down. The doctors and the nurses in there don't want anything bad to happen to me any more than I want to, than I want anything bad to happen. Now, there's another aspect of this that I will wait to talk about as it relates to breaking news that we will let you leave the room for. April Madison, what's going on with the weather?